introduce myself. So my name is Indu. So I'll be taking up the training for DevOps and cloud computing. So I have around 13 years of experience working both in the software development as a software developer and eventually also into the teaching field as well. Now associated with IT Talent Hub for close to 1 year now. Okay, so IT Talent Hub, we'll just have a small brief intro about IT Talent Hub before we start with the demo session. Okay, so it's based out of it's a training and recruitment company that is based out of Ilford in UK. Okay, and we have a set of team members who have been extensively working over close to 10 years. This establishment is there for 10 years in London. And some of the clients associated with us are Department of Education, Transform, and such. And the students who have been, or the IT professionals who have been trained by us, have been recruited in multiple companies. Okay. And these are some of the ones who have been trained by us. You can see they are part of HRC, NHS, and all have recruited them. Okay. For multiple courses that we have undertaken. Okay. What does IT Talent Hub do? We look into providing quality trainers. Okay. And most of the curriculum that we have designed is based as per the UK job market. What is the current requirements? Based out of that, we have at least 2 to 3 months of training that is being provided. Okay. Around 10 plus students have already been placed last month. And apart from the coursework that is there, post coursework, there is a live project that is also done, and which you can, of course, add into your resume when you are going for the recruitment process. And then after that, a complete job support team is there, a separate team for job support. We will help you with the onboarding for all the recruitments that are happening. Okay, so once you've done with the coursework, you will be provided with a certification. Okay, and as far as the job placement support is concerned, you have end-to-end CV. We'll be redesigning your entire CV as to how we should go for getting more high skill and more premium jobs. Okay. And real-time project will be there during the job placement time. And apart from that, during the coursework also, two projects will be taught. And interview support will be there. Okay. At the time when you're giving the interview, that time any help that is required, any hand holding, we will definitely help you there. Some sort of technical task will be given also for which will support you with your recruitment process. Okay, training on similar technologies that we done in the coursework. Okay, and if you look at how the timeline that is involved, probably the training will last 2 months, or maybe it get extended a little bit depending on your pace. Okay, a pace of how you are picking up. Okay, and there will be live project that lasts to about a month, and then post which we will have a small assessment, and then we can go make you go for further job support service. Okay, so as far as the job support service is there, we have a mentor that is dedicated and assigned to you. Okay, who will help you for in getting jobs from the companies, help you with writing your CV in a particular manner. Okay, and apply for roles. Okay, then how the interviews and everything will be set up for you. Okay, for with the help to getting jobs in the UK, as well as if you're based out of somewhere else, also remote opportunities can be looked into. Okay, so the coursework is a little extensive coursework, up to 2 months, maybe even 3 months. Okay, I think this brochure would be shared with you. I don't know if it is already shared, but this is what we were covering. Okay. So I just wanted to know from which background you're from. Are you from IT background? Are you from non-IT? Are you just passed out, or are you? What is your background so that I can understand the pace at which I should take the demo? If you can just tell, Devika, can you just give me an idea? You're from IT, non-IT background. Yeah, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, hi Devika. Can you just give me an idea?
I'm from IT background and I have done my master's in cybersecurity with computer forensic,
Okay.
and I have 2 years of experience as system analyst.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you want to change domain slightly into DevOps, right?
Yeah.
Cloud. Okay, great, great, great. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know
Thank
whether you're from IT background.
yeah.
That's why I was. And what
Thank you.
about you, Ashwin? What about you?
Um, I do have the same profile as David because we know each other from India. We used to
Oh,
work together in this company called Nagios.
okay, okay, great, great, great. Okay, fine.
So we both did the same course here, and
Okay,
we are currently in the PSW here,
okay.
seeking a job. Obviously, yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Great, great, great. Okay, so it's nice to know that you're from IT background. That's what's important because then we can, pace it accordingly. Okay, it
yeah,
helps. Yes, great. Okay, so the coursework, I'll just show you what it looks like. Okay, so we are going to focus on starting with what is DevOps, and there are certain tools that we're going to learn, some automation tools. Then for cloud computing, we're going to focus mainly on AWS cloud. Okay. So have you used AWS cloud? Have you used it in any of your work or
Yeah, for me, I have studied it in my degree, undergraduation.
undergraduate?
I had dual specialization in cloud technology.
Okay, okay, okay. So most of the DevOps tools that we're going to focus on are going to be on the cloud environment. We're going to set it up in cloud environment so that it is accessible 24/7. Okay. And we will be learning multiple tools. We'll be focusing on version control systems. We will be focusing on the basics of cloud computing and also go moving further to integrating the DevOps tools. And then we will be learning something called as continuous integration and continuous deployment. We'll be focusing on that. At that time, we'll be so these are all basically stages of what DevOps is all about, and we'll be learning multiple DevOps tools during those phases. Okay, and for the classwork, all the sessions are recorded. Okay, there will be live recording that will be done, and all the sessions will be shown to you like live. Okay, there will be no, it's not that any recorded classes are being shown. Okay, Eh, the live sessions you can ask doubts on the spot, and then I can resolve them if there are any issues. Okay, so all of them are going to be recorded classes. Recordings will be there, but of course, they are going to be taught live. Okay, and you have access to all the recordings. And plus, I will be explaining all the concepts on a whiteboard manner. Okay, conceptually with drawing diagrams and everything. All lab documentations, or what you can say, worksheets will be provided. Okay, the worksheets will include what we do in class, including screenshots. Okay, in case you are not able to go through the recordings, okay, you can always refer the screenshots that I put in the documentation for doing all the session, with which will also include all the commands. So in DevOps, most of the things, right? It's not like we're writing any coding language or anything like that. It's more of command based and scripting that we're going to learn. Okay, so those commands, what are they, and all of that will be provided in the lab documents. Okay, and moving further, after the lab documents, any slides that are shared will also be there in a drive link, which you can access all the time. Okay, as far as the subject is concerned, DevOps and cloud computing. Okay, like I said, uh, you would have heard of DevOps, but probably the where does it fit in as a DevOps engineer? You can focus on identifying that Dev stands for development team. Okay, the people who are generally the software developers. Okay, I started off as a software developer, and so as in the development team, software developers are the ones who, what is their function? Just to write code. Okay, they just write code, and ops stands for nothing but operations team. Okay, so in operations teams, generally we are looking at system admins, administrators, okay, and plus network engineers. Okay, they're the ones, who maintain that server, the machine, or what we call as the production server. Okay? Any machine in which you have a web server installed can be considered as a production server. Anywhere you have a web server, like for instance, Tomcat, Nginx is a web server, JBoss is a web server. These are all web servers which is when installed on a machine. Okay, it becomes what we call as a production server. Okay, and you can take your code and put it into the web server. That becomes what we call as deployment of code. Okay, you deploy the code onto the production server. And who has access to taking the code and putting it into the server? Generally, the operations team do that. And the system administrators make sure the system is up to date. Probably the web server's version, what should be the version, okay, all the administrative part of that. And network engineers make sure the machine is available 24/7 and always use monitoring tools to make sure everything is up to date. Okay. So if everybody is already there, why do you need a DevOps engineer? That's the question, right? If everybody is there to do all the tasks, why do you need them, right? Number one, the fact that software developers write versions of code. Maybe today they write one version of code, okay, and the version of the code gets updated to version number 2. They wrote some other programming language. It can be any language, whatever language, whether it's Java, PHP, whatever it is that they have written, they would have different versions. Okay, now imagine the latest version is version number 2, and this particular version number 1, assuming that this is the latest version, the operation team picks up this version of code and puts it to the production deployment environment. The problem is the development team noticed some sort of logical error in version 2, which was probably missed out during the testing stage. And they decided to send an email to the operations team stating that keep the previous version and not go for the version 2 of the deployment. But these people already had a auto scheduling of midnight, where they decided that at midnight I'm going to go ahead and take the code and put it here. But these people were the instruction sent by the development team was missed out by the operations team, and they become in loggerheads. They start fighting with each other. Okay, so whatever, be it picking up the code and putting into the production server, or maybe you don't want this, you want this version, choosing which version to move forward to, right? Now the developer is always tensed. His job is writing the code, but the problem is he cannot focus on the next version of code until and unless he makes sure the previous version of code is correctly put. What if the wrong version went? Okay, those are certain things that they're always scared about. Okay, that's where the DevOps engineers come in place. When these two start fighting with each other, that's when we want an automated workflow. We want an automated workflow to ensure that correct version of code goes for deployment, to ensure that no teams don't fight with each other, and to promote a good work culture by promoting the fact that change is inevitable. You have to, being scared that you may make a mistake, we might not add new versions. Okay, when the versions keep increasing, how do you track all those versions together? You need some sort of tools for tracking all that code, right? What if I made a mistake here and then I want to go back to version 2? Okay, those kind of things we are going to learn to create this automated workflow where the developer can focus only on code and the operation team can focus on getting the right tools to make sure the server is perfect, as well as the correct code goes to the production environment. That is when we are going to use certain DevOps tools. Okay, and these DevOps tools are going to be installed in a cloud computing environment like AWS. The reason being that if I install some tool on my system, can you access it? Is it possible for you to access the tool if I install something on my laptop? What
No.
do you think? No, right? But definitely I can give you like remote access to my PC, right? You can use TeamViewer or something and get remote desktop access, and you can access the tool that I'm using. But the problem is, what if I shut down my laptop? Then you can't access, right? Because the fact that my system, yeah, so my system is kind of has a limitation. I can't keep it on 24/7, right? Because it's my personal laptop. Even if I have 10 machines or servers, I still cannot keep it on. I need to have cooling systems in place to maintain those systems. Everything should be in place. Okay. So that's why we are choosing the cloud environment which is available, which guarantees us 24/7 availability, right? Systems there are always on. You can keep them on as, but of course you have to pay for them. Okay, but we are not going to go for the paid tier. Okay, we are going to go for, there are free tier resources, okay, which are low capacity system. Okay, so for most of the sessions, we only need low capacity system, but there are one or two which we're going to learn for one of the tools, which is called as Kubernetes. Okay, for that, we will require a little more a paid version, but that is only like 0.017 USD for 1 hour. That's it. Okay, so at that time, if you want, you can do. Otherwise, I will anyway demonstrate it from my side. Okay. So Kubernetes and maybe one session of Jenkins, which is like for 1 or 2 hours, I'll demonstrate that. Okay, which you can try on your own also how to set it up. Okay, so let's just dive in to understand whether we got it right. Okay. Okay. So, like I said, what is DevOps? Okay. Now, the one thing that we have to understand is DevOps is just not learning a bunch of tools. Okay. It's a cultural change or a mindset that is changed. Okay. The fact that, you're able to change the practices that are being adopted. Okay. Changing certain cultural philosophies with the help of tools. Okay, the fact that I'm coming on the session for on time and in discipline, all these are cultural mindsets, right? These kind of things need to be adopted, right? So encourage change that happens. Do not discourage people when they get a mistake, right? Because you know what, finding a mistake early on, okay, at the time of development is better than going and finding it at the end by the end user. Okay, if errors are not caught early on, are being we may think it might not create a big issue later on, and let's make sure it's okay if it goes ahead. Okay, no, we have to pick it up early on and try to encourage them that come back with errors so that we can resolve them early on. Okay, all those things, making it an automated workflow, ensuring that your software product reaches your end user at a faster pace. Okay, making the company that you work for, a cut above the rest in the market, which are available. Okay, so as a DevOps engineer, you can, it's not just a DevOps engineer role that you can apply to. There are multiple other roles as well, which I'll tell you later on. Okay, so what we want like this automation workflow. Okay, automation workflow is like a pipeline. Okay, it's like a flow of water, like that. Okay, you start with giving your input, which is your code. Okay, you build it, test it, release it. Okay, I'll tell you what those stages are. Build the code, test the code, release the code, and put it into the production server. When you put it in a production server, the end users, that is the customers, can see the website. Okay, like Amazon.com and all of that, they all go through. But just making it available to the customer is not enough. We have to continuously monitor these systems and also replan, because you may get feedback from the customers. You have to replan and change the code. Don't go for stagnant features, because then there's some other competitor who's going to go ahead. Okay, so one of the first companies that adopted DevOps is Netflix. Okay, Netflix is one of the companies that increases profit more than 1,000-fold. Okay, by just adopting the DevOps culture and use of these automation tools. Okay, so all these automation tools went on to help the developers' challenges. Developer was always waiting for the code to get deployed. Now there is no waiting. Everything is integrated, and there is speedy deployment, quick deployment that's happening. Okay, and now the developer can focus on writing new code. Previously, always he was working on some new code. Suddenly at the very end, after a very long time, when the deployment was done and everything, he gets back some errors of the old code, which that also he has to sit on. So now it's not like that. Developer focuses on building current new code, because rest everything is looked after by somebody else. This is the DevOps engineer. Okay, we focus on getting everything else done and automating the whole workflow. Okay, and if you would focus on what are the things of challenges of the operations team that we resolve as a DevOps engineer, make sure the production environment as always reliable and uptime, okay, of those. and all continuous monitoring tools we are going to use. Okay, continuous monitoring tools that we're going to learn. We're going to learn something called as Nagios. We're going to learn something called as Prometheus and Grafana. Okay, and for something like, imagine if you have a server. Okay, you want to create, the thing is you have a website that is running posted on the server. Okay, now the thing is, if the user traffic to this website, like for instance today you have a cricket match, right? If you have a cricket match, the user traffic today is going to be very large to those streaming platforms, those streaming sports websites, right? So what happens, you need to have more infrastructure to support that website. Okay, you have to create, scale up the systems. Okay, how to do that? Maybe one system has different configuration, another set has different configuration. So how to go and scale up the system when you want to scale up the infrastructure? Okay, okay, with the help of code, okay, I can write a script file with the code in it, which will help me to scale up my infrastructure when it is required. Okay, then I can use something called as Terraform. Okay, this is the DevOps tool that we're going to learn. Okay, focusing on scaling up instantly whenever we want. Okay, another tool that we're going to use is something called as Ansible. Now imagine that these systems, okay, these systems, I have a web server in it for my website. For my website to function, it has to be deployed in a web server, like Tomcat, Nginx, like I said, okay. If that web servers is an outdated version and I want to update the software on suppose 10,000 systems, okay, doing on one or two systems is okay, but I want to sit on my one laptop and update on 10,000 servers. Okay, then I can use something which is called as Ansible. Okay, this type of configuration, like your software configurations and your hardware, that's changes that you want to increase the hardware capacity, then you call that as configuration management. Okay, for automating that config, automate the infrastructure, try to increase the number of instances. All these things can be done with these kind of tools. And Ansible is not the only one that you're going to learn. You're going to learn something called as Chef, and there's something called as Puppet. These are the other tools which fall in this category. Okay, Terraform is the number one in this category of increasing the infrastructure with the help of code. Okay, we'll also be focusing on understanding what are the business benefits of adopting DevOps. Okay, you're getting faster solutions, improve performance, customer is happy because you're constantly trying to improve uh, and adopt changes. Okay, because developer can write new code. Okay, and operations team is also focused on looking at how to resolve problems instantly. Okay, and also because you're using monitoring tools, you're able to identify the issues much early on. Okay, if there is there is a chance of capacity going less, you're already get an alerting system in place to identify that at a very early stage. Okay, so because of which, at the end, we want faster return on investment. How much my company has invested or my client who's working for my company has invested, they should get the maximum return on investment. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, so if you, the DevOps adoption is actually a very systematic way we go through. Okay, first of all, we need to change the cultural transformation. It's a mindset thing, right? The fact that you want to adopt, okay, you have to kind of convince others, and then you have to change the internal processes to include those automation tools. Okay, change all the existing manual technologies and which are there, try to automate everything and adoption of all the DevOps tools. Okay, now if you say, when you write code, we generally focus on the software development life cycle, you see. Similarly, you have something in DevOps which is called as DevOps lifecycle. Okay. Now this DevOps lifecycle looks like an infinity. Okay, this is the lifecycle. It looks like an infinite because it's actually called as. Have you understood till here what I'm telling? Any doubt till here? Anything that you would like to know? Have you understood till here? Is it clear?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's clear.
It's clear. Okay. Okay, so this infinite loop or this life cycle of DevOps is called as what you call as infinite feedback loop. Okay, the thing is, see, right now I didn't end the session till now, but the fact that I asked you did you understand, right? What is the advantage of doing that? Because whether I should increase the pace at which I'm teaching, did I miss out on something? Okay, if I had asked this question at the very end, yeah, I took feedback, but it's of no use because I couldn't take corrective action. Right? If you had told me that I'm going a bit fast, then I can slow down at least half of the way session, right? So it's important that you shouldn't be afraid of getting feedback. Okay, so this feedback loop also talks like that. Okay, you code something, you build it, you test it, you give it for release, different releases, you deploy it, basically install it, and then certain operation tools we're going to use and monitor it, and then again replan. Because when you do this second half, you're going to find some sort of feedback which needs to be incorporated again. Then you're going to replan again and then rewrite the code again and keep doing it continuously. So this is also what we call as the CI/CD, where CI stands for the first half and CD stands for the second half. Okay, CI means continuous integration. Always writing new code and getting it into the system. Okay, that is continuous integration. And the second part is called as continuous delivery or deployment. Whatever new code is there, version 1 of the code, deploy. Version 2 of the code, deploy. Okay, so continuously monitoring, is the new code there or not? Okay, so if you have a DevOps workflow in place, the operations team need not sit late at night and try to see whether any new code is available or not. All as a DevOps engineer, we need to focus is on setting up the whole thing. Once the processes are in place, all the tools are set up, all we need to do is maintain them. Okay, that's another advantage. Number one, DevOps engineer's job is very critical. Okay, because it's the final code that is going to the production environment, and the customers are seeing that code, and end user is seeing it. Okay, so it is very critical job. But at the same time, once you learn it, then it becomes, it's something you can sit back and relax, because you become like a maintenance engineer, where all you need to do, because you built it, you set it up. Okay, so it becomes very easy after that. Initially you might find it like, oh, what is this? Okay, like that. So every phase of this DevOps life cycle has different tools, DevOps tools. Okay, you can't interchange these tools, they're meant for that phase. Okay, like for instance, I said, right, CI/CD. Okay, for the purpose of continuous integration and continuous delivery, there is a tool which is called as Jenkins. Okay, you can't use this one for this purpose. Okay, you can't do like that. This generally falls in the middle part, which is called as release. Okay, and the code that the developers have written, we need to version that code. To help them with versioning of the code, we're going to learn a version control tool, which is called as Git, and you'll also be learning something called as GitHub. Okay, for building of the code, you have something called as Maven. Okay, code that is built is generally nothing but your .java file. Okay, a set of .java files which you have, any code that is written. Okay, remember, as a DevOps engineer, we don't need to write the code. Developers write the code. Okay, we are only going to help with versioning of the code. Okay, but all this build tool, then you'll be asking me, why do we need a test over here? If a DevOps in the DevOps lifecycle, why is there testing? Because we are integrating everything with Jenkins. This Jenkins tool is the backbone of DevOps. Okay, so if a code is being tested, that testing tool has to be integrated with Jenkins to make it work. That's it. Okay, the test cases, anything, all the code that is related to testing, that is all written by the testers. We don't need to do anything. But that code has to be put into a Jenkins dashboard and integrated with the testing tool. Okay, that's why you see this test phase here. Not that we are writing the actual test code. Okay, we're not doing that. Neither are we writing the code, development code. We're not doing that. We are only helping by picking up the code from the version control tool, that is GitHub. Okay, then you'll also learn something which is very popular in DevOps, is something called as Docker. And Kubernetes is also very popular. Okay, so AWS has the largest market share in terms of cloud computing, and that's why we have picked up AWS. So we will be learning how to integrate all these tools in the AWS platform. Okay, and we'll try our best that we will be using free tier resources. So we'll be able to learn everything with the minimum cost. Okay, so as a DevOps engineer, we can expect that there are certain basic skills that we should learn. Okay, what are those basic? First, you have to try to be an excellent system admin, because we are trying to learn a bunch of tools here to set up. Okay, third thing that we need to know, see, first of all, we told the code, everything, I mean, the DevOps tools are all integrated in cloud environment. And cloud environment, you have to understand what is virtualization, which is the base of cloud computing. Second, I mean, the third thing is cloud computing. You need to understand the network part of it, the storage part of the cloud computing, and certain security aspects of the cloud computing. I'm not going to install any of the DevOps tools on my laptop. We are only going to configure everything. And the way I configure something on my laptop and in cloud environment is going to be different. Okay, because here on my system, it's called firewall. There in cloud environment, it's called security group. There are multiple terminologies are also slightly different, and the way you configure them are also slightly different. So we are going to do everything based on cloud. Okay, and a little bit knowledge of coding goes along. Okay, why I'm telling coding, you don't need to know how to write code, but at least the basics, like for instance, most of the languages that we are going to use is something called as Ruby for configuring some of the tools. Okay, there's a Ruby language which you're going to learn for the tools configuration, not that we're writing the code. Okay, and there is something called as YAML, which is called as yet another markup language. For configuring Jenkins, we're going to learn something which is called as Groovy script. Okay, like this, certain different ones which we're going to use for this. Okay, Ruby we're going to use when we're going to learn Ansible. YAML we are going to use when we are learning Kubernetes, and Groovy we are going to use when we learn Jenkins. Okay, and all of this are going to be done on cloud environment in which we are going to get a Linux based system. So Linux scripting also we have to learn all the commands. Okay, that you will get used to by the time when we start learning Linux systems. And I think you're all from you're both from cybersecurity background, so you would have already started working on Linux systems, right? Am I right? Linux systems you have used, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've used it.
Yeah. So we will be using the Linux system for all this setup as well. Okay. Whether it be Docker also, in Docker also we're going to use. Okay. Here also we're going to learn certain Docker commands. Or everything is command based. Okay. Like imagine if I say command start, I say command stop. Okay, like that. Okay. These are certain commands that we're going to. In version control also, versioning of the code. Okay, there also we are learning certain Git commands. Okay, like that. So this kind of thing is what we're going to learn when we learn DevOps. Okay, so understanding some automation tool, little bit idea of how to integrate the testing tools with our DevOps tools. Okay, and some bit of soft skills management. Okay, why do you want to learn soft skills? Because the company that you work for, you will have to convince them that this tool is better than this. Okay, and most of this, all of this which we are learning is open source. None of these are paid tools. They're all open source. Okay, there is only one which is paid, which I'll tell you about, which is which is paid is something called as, everything is open source, TeamCity. Okay, but TeamCity also we are not using the paid version. We are going to use the free version. They have a limited free edition. Okay, so we're going to use that one. Okay, so there also you won't face a problem. Okay, and yeah. Okay, so let's just go through the global DevOps market. Okay, so as I stated here, maximum job market share for a DevOps engineer lies in Europe. Okay, 32%. So maximum jobs are available in Europe, second being USA, and third being Asia Pacific. Okay, but of course, we have the added advantage is the fact that, you know, we all the DevOps tools are on cloud environment. We are installing on cloud environment, and cloud environment is accessible and can be configured from anywhere. That means maximum remote jobs also you can opt for. Suppose you have a job in USA, you can apply for a job in USA for a remote opportunity if you're a DevOps engineer. Okay, that's an added advantage because most of the tools are cloud based and you can configure it from anywhere, even sitting in your cafe. So it really doesn't matter. So remote opportunities also maximum opportunities in DevOps. Okay, and as a DevOps, you need not only apply for DevOps engineer. Okay, of course, our team will get in touch with you regarding how to update your resume to make it more suitable for these positions. Okay, DevOps engineers, you can apply for jobs which are preferring for platform engineers. Okay, there's another one which is called as SRE, which is site reliability engineers. Okay, these are all job profiles which you can go for if you are applying as a DevOps engineer. Okay. Any doubt till here in terms of anything that you would like to know? Anything till here regarding this? Okay, so DevOps job market is expected to grow up to $30 billion by 2028. Okay, so huge job opportunities here. But yes, it see if you are starting off in DevOps, you can join as a entry level DevOps engineer. Then there is a mid level, and then you can go for senior level. Okay, initially you may have to join as a in entry level. But DevOps as itself, or the domain itself, is a high paying job. So it doesn't matter if you're going for entry level or mid level, still it is a high paying job compared to the other domains. Okay, even if you compare it with a software developer also. Okay, so I will just tell you a little bit about the